flow in and out of digital as it is, just in general, on a regular basis. See what this thing is doing. Okay. Okay. All right. And again, this class is a little shorter. I would like to just like premeditate kind of the action of we have, what is it? It's 2 weeks till your submission time. Um, I do want to touch base with where you are next week. So again, because you're all part-timers, you are assumed that you know how to manage your time a lot better than just obviously a daytime, just because of the fact that you do work and stuff. But this is obviously it's obviously added pressure and added workload for you. I'd like you to begin as far as you can, get as far as you can, so that we can just touch base with some answers that you have provided, so that I can tell you next week when we start the class off like that, where you are not like quite correct, and where you can just obviously spruce up some of those answers, so we can come out with some great marks. Okay. All right. Okay, let's look at so just because you proclaimed yourself as a right now a digital like enthusiast, Shalom, I'm now going to be asking you about the stuff within this lecture and digital formats, where it is that you do uh, spend some of your time there, exactly, some podcasts as well, and whether or not any of you use any of these particular apps, that are listed here. Radio South Africa, free app. All these are free apps, but again, for example, TuneIn will have a subscription fee at some other point for certain features. Radio Player, Simple Radio. Ideally, we want these platforms to remain free and also fully accessible. Just because of the fact that radio stations make already their money as it is, but also what you do want is to have a good app that does actually provide you with like the podcasts that are registered, like the podcast users and creators, should I say, that are registered on these platforms. So you do not have to go. If you're looking at your phone, I mean, all of us, if you can just go and have a look and see, like, you go to your Play Store and it'll say to you, well, these are the apps that you don't use, and it's basically 90% of the apps that you load on your phone. We keep loading, like every app, becomes kind of a way that we can spend no money on. So we don't window shop anymore, but we keep downloading a lot for different reasons. And there's in this kind of sphere, I don't really want to expand my attention, to 3 or 4 or 5 different apps just for let's say an audio platform and an audio medium. So what is nice is that let's say like Radio South Africa, even though its design is kind of archaic as well, you still can find, let's say, your variation of podcasts in there, and also again ones that are trending. TuneIn is a little bit more sophisticated. I haven't really used Radio Player. Simple Radio I have, because it just has the stations and what you want to just kind of play and stream. But if you're not like, it's almost unheard of in a way, just for like the average metropolitan South African to not have a like a streaming radio app on their phones, just in general. Okay. So again, this doesn't end, as you know, in the app world, and in the digital world. Like, you can find like countless and continuous platforms where radio is being hosted, and radio as a whole. So again, underneath there, we are also again now considering the podcasting space, and where you look at, let's say you find like a podcast creator that you really are passionate about. They are quite consistent. They have been long running in terms of, they've got, let's say, a couple of hundred of episodes there. You will find that they are also like the RSS feed, which then is just a way to kind of syndicate this stuff across different platforms. There are like like a good 20, 30, even 40 sometimes platforms that will host this particular creator's content at their own cost most of the time. And again, if they are bigger and they are a little bit more commercial or find some commercial edge, they will be sponsored and those things are paid for as it is anyway. But again, you can keep on going, you can keep on looking, and there's no point in kind of remembering one because you stumble across. So if I had to point out the favorites, it's from my side, just because they are I'm going to say the foundation brands for me. Again, iHeartRadio and NPR, just on a global scale, where you can find just a complete variation of stuff, and again, and kind of a YouTube feel in that endless black hole of what it is. There's it right there. I didn't preempt that. iHeartRadio All Access is just exactly a service that gives you all access to everything, because all their revenue that they generate is so massive that they don't actually have to go and try and monetize the stuff outside. I'm saying outside their own I said their own, let's say, the corporate sector, and avenue. So access, you'll be able to skip songs where obviously they're playing, you don't like it, you just must carry on. Save songs from the radio to your playlist. You can add, it's ad-free radio. Instantly replay songs that you like, listen offline, get unlimited access to millions of songs, millions of not yeah well, I'm saying millions of podcasts, but there's quite a lot there. Create unlimited playlists. And again, iHeartRadio has been a host, like the OG host, digitally for America, for, like, I think it was the first official like online space for them to actually broadcast or stream digitally. Okay, anyway, another popular streaming strategy is to create different formats as offshoots of the mother radio brand. So this will allow radio stations to follow trends in different niches that they might exist, that they find their listener market through research, and obviously through like their ongoing surveys, again, within the international countries that have the stations that are well funded, and obviously they've got a lot of profit to kind of spare. Their research can be a lot more intricate and a lot more on point, in terms of, when I say intricate, they can, their research can happen almost daily based on people kind of responding and taking part in what they want to know. Surveys, again, easy questions, easy scaling of music that they're playing, etc. And that, again, is not something that we have easily here in South Africa. But again, then they can develop more niche subcategories and substations, quote unquote, or substreams, which we have. Again, the only real existence of it here is with East Coast. That their big thing is obviously East Coast Gold, which exists as a separate station, but only online. It isn't customizable, obviously. Like, I mean, that's just it's a station, like, again, it's an online station. But I mean, we already don't want to, in this country, again, it's a bit pointless to kind of challenge a beast, that these beasts that do exist, like I said, like our tunes and our Spotify's, where you can customize a whole bunch of stuff. And we're not really in a market space where we actually need to make those choices as a, like I say, as an SA industry. And so it's not really a big deal that stations haven't really quite gotten to that point, or need to get to the point just yet. Anyway, this gives the listener ultimate power, which before this, when it was just like a dirty little thought, I mean, saying in South Africa that we get access to Spotify, specifically, like, all the rumors were true, where you could. And the thing is that the stations as well felt threatened, because if you could customize a playlist and you could choose what you wanted to hear, like, did that mean that our programming itself was on point in terms of really keeping our listeners, like I say, their time spent listening much longer, and actually engaged and kind of devoted to the product, if they did have, in comparison to having a choice, like you do on Spotify at the end of the day. But if you really want to see, if they wanted to actually feel the threat, and it's good risk management is great, and it's a big part of managing your company and your and services uh, uh, obviously properly. So taking that into obviously into consideration is correct, but uh, and like knowing that you're not confident in your own product and knowing its own space, and also the fact that they actually didn't really have their own access to stuff that was existing overseas, not because again they couldn't afford it, but there wasn't really that much of a vested interest by the stations to go and say, okay, well let's like explore how international audiences are right now using Spotify, what and et al. The rest of the products, like within their lifestyle space, and their again what is the point of it being I'm saying as a gold flag that we might feel threatened of. We've been customizing playlists for years. I mean, you put this music on your phone, and you will literally go and you can go create playlists if you really feel like it, and you can go just skip to whatever song you want to do, which is not, it hasn't really been much of a difference to what you might find a little bit more structured and obviously programmed in algorithms, etc. On Spotify at the end of the day. Now we're just including again the aspect of talk, the aspect of a little bit. Obviously, want to make the consumer feel as though they are in control, which they are to a large extent. But again, we also have a certain attention span and also a time to dedicate ourselves to a specific product. For example, we can't spend the whole day creating playlists and the whole day on Spotify, because it's not that important to us at the end of the day. If we can do just a bare minimum, we get what we want out of the product when it does something different, which it does, and hence why it's a great product. Then we're happy just with that on its own. Okay, it gives you obviously the ultimate power. Well, ultimate power sounds like you're Superman, but yeah, okay. Making the music content specific to your tastes. You can obviously enjoy live content, as I just said there, and you obviously like pick and choose whenever you want to play back what you want to play back. That is the only real thing that stands out. Where again with stations, you wanna say, oh well, if I wanted to listen to the breakfast show, but I don't have time this morning, I'd like to still be able to listen to them when I do have time. Let's say my entire lifestyle is particularly it's night based, so I work in the evening, whatever it may be, and that's where my kind of quote unquote breakfast should be. uh we have the notion of quote unquote podcasts of the shows itself, but that is again mustn't be confused at all for being official podcasts, but doesn't really get the feel of it. And again, we kind of say, well, our life is not over. We'll just adapt to nighttime breakfast shows, or again, revert to, let's say, music playback systems like this. Okay, music mobile systems. All right, or services. In the speech format space, podcasts, obviously most popular, became large again over the COVID era. When trying to define podcasts as a good starting point, to just think of them as internet radio on demand, which means we do not have to sit and waste time on like a really long show to only get the excerpts of great content that we'd want to feel made our day or whatever it is. You can listen to a podcast on your PC, cell, whatever device you do have. And again, because the choice is so broad and there's just this endless amount. Again, the ones uh, again that are quite stagnant and are actually shows are no longer slowly no longer being considered podcasts, because of the, like I say, the serial nature of a podcast and the way that we actually consume podcasts. I'm saying as a global generalization, which is actually it has a very short lifespan, a podcast series or any podcast that you do come across. You'll listen to it, it'd be super great. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't the fact that you tune out of it or you don't listen again isn't because it was necessarily boring or it was bad, which a lot of them are, but because there's so many others that you came across and you only have so much attention that you have dedicated to enjoying, let's say, a podcast as it is. And so that's cool. I mean, that's a nice. It's not bad because again, it's a great space to be in, and it's great to know that it's kind of a lot more structured in the way that you would have approached YouTube, which is just like this again, constant clickbait in a way, which is great also to a certain extent, and less dedication to certain channels. Um, just because I had SEO content where podcasting does have a little bit more, a tiny bit more structure, where we do feel like we become kind of loyal to a bit of a product or a host or a show, and stay there for a little bit longer. We can remember a lot of the stuff that we actually listen to, as opposed to, like I say, YouTube, where it starts becoming a bit of a blur. Also useful, I mean, in whatever way that we go on there and look for stuff, and so on. But I think okay, so that those points to be made. Really, the really simple syndication. You see, it's intimidating for, you see, as a podcaster, you're an everyday person, right? So when I say everyday person, doesn't understand what an RSS feed is and exactly how to use it or how it works or whatever it is. It's good to go and just educate yourself a little bit on look. It's just a web address that you will go and you will insert and obviously you'll set up at different platforms or whatever it may be that you have either created a free account or you're doing a paid subscription for, and you will syndicate from like an OG base, you understand, of where you are creating your content, you are sharing, etc. Right. So that's why I was saying just earlier with the other presenters and stuff. Like, I mean, they have it on the 40 plus platforms because it's not about going and uploading to 40 different platforms. No one want to do that. It's too much work. You just include the RSS feed, you pay the subscription again, or you do the free membership, and then, whoever maybe your uncle is the term that we can use there. Podcasts have very few restrictions on format, so that's what we also really enjoy. Like, I mean, if you are into like explicit stuff, and I'm not necessarily talking about porn, I'm saying to you like there's a lot of stuff that's very gory and very, like I say, very much obviously there's no language barriers in terms of like explicit language and explicit thoughts. The only thing that you cannot do, obviously, in the information space and obviously in life, is to go and promote things like human trafficking or abuse or rape, etc., racism, any kind of like hate speech. So everything else is free game now. So yeah, you're not restricted at all. You just have to mark it off with a bit of a like an age restriction, and then you're good to go. Right, which should be a really good like a spark for you or to want to go and create a podcast of your own, just because everyone's got something to say these days, like every single person. Now you want to go on there, you want to also have something to say, but to have something of purpose, and as I've said always, the best way to kind of explore a platform in any way, media, that you have no experience in, is to go and create stuff that particularly you only like. So in and like obviously in deep contrast to television and radio and print, wherever it is where you must create stuff for the masses, every other platform isn't necessarily about creating at all something for the masses. The more you create something that is completely unique and completely kind of like self-absorbed, self it's self-serving, is more likely that you would get a much more, I'd say, quality product, as well as a quality range of plays. I'm saying in terms of the sources, the people that do want to actually listen to something new, fresh, and fun. Yeah. Okay, digital platforms are the highway that allows radio professionals and everyday listeners to create and share their content. So as I've said before, there's not really much that you need, but be careful on that particular statement. because like if you want to do podcasting, like it'll cost a little bit to start off. So to get like a good mic costs like a really good mic. I mean, decent is about 2,000 Rand. Remember, you want to so be able to plug that into a laptop that is, it's functioning. It's got the entry level requirements to be able to stream something and be able to record. And if you're doing something raw, it's not the approach for podcasting. You have to actually pre-edit that type of stuff. And so you are going to have a little bit of like a budget that you have to work on, and then again a schedule at the end of the day so that you can remain consistent. Or again, as I've said to you before, it works for me just because if you feel like your life is volatile in the sense that it's kind of full of unexpected, you know, that's the life of a contractor, like you want to be able to rather release series and people start to understand that you are that type of creator, and create those series like in advanced and then release them as it is like you would watch something on Netflix, right? Okay, so that seems kind of trivial to label it as internet, but the whole thing is that that's where we live. That's what it's called. The internet being obviously, well, I say obviously, like everyone knows this, but in during the war, there was the need for being able to communicate with soldiers and with obviously like the points of the different points that a specific obviously a country was splitting up its forces, and that was created by obviously this type of information being transmitted over the oceans, etc. When the war did end, like that particular infrastructure that was owned by no one, that's why the internet is owned by no one, was kept as a basis for computer scientists to start transmitting digital information, so the ones and the zeros that got transmitted over kind of like, as I would say, traditional mediums. I'm not saying that there were wires that went across the oceans, but there were obviously our satellites, etc., that were being used, and that's how the internet just kind of by accident started to grow, and only the notion of websites, etc., started to grow like in the late 90s, and became a thing like in the early 2000s where people were just on the net, and just obviously boomed from there. So okay, just as a little bit of a short little history background on that. Uh, Coming back to this year, we've moved far beyond what we can expect. We ever wanted to think that the internet was going to be, but when I say that, like I'm saying the infrastructure and the possibilities that like a world global net does offer us becomes endless. And I just want to just go up there just a little bit. No, that's the beginning of that. Okay. What do you have to remember when you're creating your own content? So develop niche content that you are passionate about. Use on-air radio to promote online audio. Should you belong to a station, obviously that has to be, mitigated as well as obviously approved. Like Jacaranda has a whole bunch of these like odd podcasts that not necessarily the best, but they at least have a nice bouquet to choose from, that are mostly hosted by a lot of the staff in with like collaborations of like newer hosts that are just kind of quote unquote normal people, but great broadcasters as well. Employ the use of digital marketing techniques. For that, as I say, just do a crash course that you can find on Udemy or whatever it is on digital marketing. You do digital, as far as I understand, in your first year. So you do have the skills to be able to just know what to do and what not to do, and kind of keep using just the basics, because that's all you need in digital, is actually understand the basics of where to place what and how to place it when. Um, and for what reason, and then you're good enough to actually go. Incorporate sharing links constantly. So as I said, like while you're doing, let's say, like your YouTube, like education, like whatever it is, learning, when you're trying to learn about how to use it, the constant thing that you'll see on most feeds, pretty much the bigger feeds, are that uh, you put all your information in in the description, just as a template. You use very short, catchy, kind of vague, like titles for your videos. There are certain things that increase the chance of people actually coming past it, for search results to actually show up when people are typing whatever they want to type out. And again, you can use Google Analytics for that. And then increase the stickiness, which is the concept that we brought about in the past lecture, about understanding. Listen, just to why is it that you are creating this? Who is it created for? Why did they want to listen to it? And so on and so forth. Okay. So according to Scott Wolfel, so that's in Geller's book, the second year book. When developing a website to host content, I don't know if you have Valerie's book, I'm sure you do. There are three important questions to ask. Why should anyone want to spend the time here? Why should anyone tell a friend about the site? And what is the strength of the website? And what are you doing to promote it? Okay, so let's look at social media. Um, is internet shorthand, and it's, I mean, in the worst ways possible, just because of the fact that, again, because it's an easy way to go on, like just completely rant and go off, or just to go on, share something, go off. And again, as I said to you, what you really need to do, just to see your time that you actually spend just on, I'm saying on your phone alone, is to actually just download a quick, like, it's just a meter that actually tells you how long you've been on the phone, but also which applications you've been primarily like using, just to kind of see where the mind space is of the average user of just any who has any smartphone. Okay, and smartphones range completely now, from very basic to very advanced, which a lot of people actually just don't care for the advanced part, because the basic ones do what they need to do. But my thing is, the amount of time that people actually spend accumulatively on social media is quite, it's quite, it's still quite surprising when you think about it, as to how many hours you have in a day, and how much hours of those are dedicated specifically to the ons and offs that we spend on social media. Um, uh, uh, when you post something, you must go post with purpose, and you'll keep hearing me say that. Go on, waste the time for make it a good waste of time. Again, like, preempt the kind of hashtags, kind of preempt the content that you're going to do. Make it look a little bit professional. If you can't make it look professional, make sure that also it sounds professional, at least at the end of the day, and it has some kind of, again, purpose, some reasoning as to do it. Sometimes to do stuff that's frivolous, in other words, just complete junk, is with purpose, because it is pre-planned, it's premeditated, and it's part of like a portion of the brand that you're trying to represent for yourself, slash whoever you're doing it for. Social media expands the number of revenue generation options. I just heard someone trying to come in. Okay. Right. Give me a second. I'll just go back there. Okay. All right. So it expands revenue options. Like, how do we make money off social media? Quite easily. I mean, you just have to. You genuinely just actually have to. You can either like, you can convince someone to sponsor you, and again, to sponsor your posts with a certain, again, a schedule and a like a timetable to that. Alternatively, the platforms offer you money after a certain amount of engagements, or a certain amount of views, or a certain amount of whatever it is, and they will offer you some kind of monetization around what it is that you want to actually, or what you are posting, right? So that is primarily in, like I say, in YouTube. That works. It's just quite nice, because at least you don't have to go and do all the work. You just have to go and get the work for the views, and they will just monetize you automatically. You know, they'll be like, there'll be obviously a mail and a setup for you to then organize like a PayPal account or something, and then the revenue will just start coming in, should you want to. On the other social media, it's a little bit more difficult, in terms of that it is more practical, that you have to go and then monetize your material and your content, like, on your own. A lot of people will approach you, but please remember that they're a dime a dozen, in terms of, we want to sponsor you Nike shoes, or if you just can be a Nike ambassador, or you can be any ambassador, like both massive corporates, I'm saying, to big brands, and also completely fake brands will try and do this to you on social media, saying, oh, like, everyone loves to be like, they have their ego cuddled a little bit. I can't believe I have load shedding. I don't believe it's back. I'm just sharing that right now. Ah, come on. Anyway, okay. Anyway, nearly done. So please don't fall for that at all. Social media provides a welcome promotion portal rather than obviously overt advertising. So there was a certain like very short phase where we, for some of the reason, had to act as if, let's say, we believed, like, it was not, like, let's say you liked a can of, I don't know, cream soda. Like, now you were being paid by cream soda, but you had to go and create some very natural, authentic, like, you're loving cream soda, but like, you're not being sponsored by cream soda at all. And that was a very awkward stage to be going through, because you would look at people and say, but this is, like, it's complete junk. At least now we're very transparent about, like, I'm being sponsored by, like, they are giving me money for, and this is the reason I am doing this, just like any normal advert would occur, and promotion that would occur everywhere you would find as it is. Okay, we're nearly done. Yeah, there'll be a little bit of homework in as well. Okay, so one of the most important aspects of radio stations using social media is that it is an extension of what they are doing. Yes, it says it, the tone, man. Obviously, that is literally, I mean, it's the, so the ecosystem of the station is now an extension of what exists on social media platforms. Like, we can see when it's lazy, and we've already picked up on that. The thing about social media is that we learn very quickly now, because it constantly is adapting and it's constantly changing. So we can be wowed by something for almost like a global second, and see past it in the next second or so. So the strategies that we have to use on social media have to constantly also change. We can't constantly do the same thing, but also we can't be lazy and say do a lot of reposting and that type of stuff that's considered lazy extension of radio at the end of the day. The word should reflect the same tone as the station, so we know obviously people have been cancelled. Just one, maybe because like people just felt like it, but two, they gave them a reason to. The best thing by far about using social media is obviously that potential to be able to engage with a ton of people that you would have never been able to should you have just been on the station and lived only for 3 hours on your show. On social media, everyone has a voice. That is a particularly bad thing, as we know, and hopefully we'll find some kind of segue between that and a good balance. And radio stations employ social only promotions that allow people and followers to win tickets, prizes, etc. With a lot more cost effectiveness. It's very cheap to actually advertise on social media, and again, it's quite effective as well. If you know how to do social media advertising. If you don't know, again, do a little bit of a crash course, but also then go and trial and test it. It's the best way. Okay. All right. So here is what are there any, okay, let me just quickly finish the exercise. So if we go to page 89, so get the so it's page 89. New South Africa. Getting all our hopes up. Okay, this is a 3A. Okay, so it's these are the questions. See, someone's trying to come back in. Okay, so the three questions are: list two South African radio stations that are licensed in each of the following formats: adult contemporary, CHR, and news and talk. Okay, so just as I said, so that the way it said that there was one left, which is 5FM. Do you see that it's already changed here? It kind of like contradicts what it's actually was saying. When you do go and look up this, please, every single station website will have an about page, which will say to you what station format it actually is. Um, uh, sorry, okay. Okay. So go and do that. Name one format that has not already been mentioned in the previous question. Thereafter, name a South African radio station that is licensed in the format. Uh, so you've like, okay, I mean, I'm not going to obviously give the answer. That's quite easy as well. Explain how you would assess whether or not the station is complying with its licensed format. So that's exactly as I was saying to you earlier, is that they're pushing, like a lot of the stations are pushing, because the renewal of the licenses happens for some stations every 3 years, right? And so the thing is, that's a long time in a very big changing, we're constantly changing environment or life, for a station to be quite stagnant in one perception, should I say, which is why they try and push, like I say, within that little box of the license. They'll push and pull as far as they can, to try and go as far as they can, but not break the license. Otherwise, they can be just cancelled off air by car. So look up and listen to one episode of the podcast series, Stuff You Should Know. Explain 50 words. What is the content format of this particular podcast? Okay. I don't know why it's so okay. All right. Provide an example of a 1 week digital calendar for your social media posts that begin to promote a brand. Give examples of the type of content and days with times on which platforms you would post onto and why. Okay. What I want to do quickly is I'm going to send you an example. Just give me a second. Just want to go. I'm just going to, so Pinterest is the best place to go and find these things, okay? So I'm just going to send you any old example, please. Um, this is genuinely not the mother of all great examples. But here we go. Again, it is missing the other stuff, which is obviously the times and stuff, which you want to go to Google and constantly be able to have a look at how that changes, right? There are a lot of there's a lot of places that will claim that this is like a great time to post on Instagram, whatever it is, but the normal Google search will always yield the updated and dynamic the time and trend changes. Okay, so if you go look at like your just look at the WhatsApp, okay, you'll see what I mean in terms of like what to put in terms of a digital calendar, right? But like you want to obviously put a little bit more and trying to kind of space that out across different platforms. Okay. Right. Yeah, no, I'm not give you less than that. So what I would do is at least use two platforms, okay? Whatever platforms, you don't have to actually go and do this. I'm saying the actual content itself. But if you can measure that out from, let's say, like I say, day 1 to day 30, so not Monday to Sunday, I would keep uh I would stay away from okay, we got the message there. Cool. Yeah, I would stay away from Saturdays and Sundays, just in general for now. And I would go Mondays to Fridays while you're developing this particular digital calendar for yourself. Okay. And give me an example of that. I would not post every day, so don't plan posts for every day. Um, Good stuff. Okay, awesome. Uh, uh, I'm saying for the got it. Thank you. So don't plan posts for every day, but as I said to you, like try and be a little bit more innovative. There's so many of these on Pinterest, right? That you can go and look for inspiration. Like there's no need to come up with, like I say, reinvent the wheel. It's been done so many times. And so yeah. Does everyone kind of understand? Do you understand what you need to do for next week? So it's basically get as far as you can with the assignment, so we can just cross check our facts, and then just a digital calendar that you can share with us, like on the group, and we can kind of like have some feedback and some ideas. I'm gonna go through each one of you, just check whether you're okay. Shalom, are you good? Yes, no?
Yes, thank you.
Good. Simpure?
Yeah, no, I'm good, Chris. Thanks.
Sure. Okay. Sibulele?
Yes, Chris, thank you so much. I'm well, thank you.
I'm glad. Okay. Bash?
I'm alright, thank you.
Good. Mapapadi?
I'm okay, thank you.
Good. All right, guys, you know that you can obviously contact, and it's been a little bit of a shorter class tonight, but I don't believe in torturing students just to fill up time. Does anyone need anything that you need to stay behind for? Everyone's good. I mean, I just asked that, but okay, great. You can obviously, as always, contacting me directly, the WhatsApp if you need some assistance. But otherwise, have a good week, and then I'll see you well virtually. Understand next week. Okay.
Thanks, Chris. Have an awesome one as well. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye,
Chris. Bye,
everyone.
Cheers, Chris. Bye,
everyone.
Bye,
everyone.
guys. Bye, guys. Have a good
Cheers.
night. Cheers. Bye. 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 Bye.